Hello and welcome. I'm Carol DeChaine, and I am your intuitive spiritual guide for practical matters and Marconics multidimensional energy practitioner and teacher. This month we're talking about an abundance mindset. And yes, indeed, it's about money. Sometimes we talk about abundance in all different ways, shapes, and forms, but I'm focusing on money because it can be a really big thing for people. It's not that money is so important, but it's that money is important. It's not that money itself, it's the fact that it gives us safety, it gives us peace of mind if you have enough. You let go of worry if you can't pay your bills. If you have it, you can travel, you can have fun. So it's important as a use to move forward in your life, but not so much as in let me amass a huge amount of wealth necessarily. But abundance is whatever you want it to be, whatever you need it to be. It doesn't have to be, I have enough to pay all my bills. It doesn't have to be anything. It can be whatever you want it to be. And this week we're talking about honoring your money fears. And you're going to say, what? What? But it's because we resist our fears so much that we give them power. Anything that you're resisting, like in a tug of war, if you're pulling and they're pulling, you're not having an easy time. If you just let go and you stop resisting, all of a sudden, there's no more pull. There's no more against you. There's none of this yanking feeling. Resisting something gives it more power. Usually it means that you're putting too much attention on it. So the law of attraction says, hey, you're paying attention to this fear? Well, let me give you more to be fearful about. You asked for it, so let me give it to you. Oh, that's not what I meant to do, right? Rarely do we want to worry about having enough money or about enough to pay for the dentist's bill or the medical bill, the car repair, sending our children to college and how we can afford it, our retirement ultimately. How do we pay for that? How do we pay for travel that we want to do? Things we really would love to do. Have a house in a particular part. Those fears that come up about not having enough, perhaps, or having a lack of being in the poorhouse, as the old saying used to go. I don't think there is such a thing anymore, but we would have those fears that we would go, oh my God, and you'd worry about being able to make that bill paid, have it be paid, having the mortgage paid or the rent paid. And so you find ways around it. Some people do it for their entire life, they find ways around, but instead of facing the fears, they resist them. And so they cut corners and find other ways because they don't even want to face those fears. If you can not only face your fears, but honor them and say, thank you for being there. It's your subconscious mind coming up and saying, oh my God, pay attention to me. I'm so scared. Some people would think of that as your inner child. I'm afraid. And if you look at your past, you'll see maybe in the last week I talked about where does it come from, these fears. So if you saw that, realize that's one of the reasons why you have that little voice somewhere that goes, oh my God, worry, fear, doubt that it's going to happen. Maybe you're worried you got this perfect job, lots of money, promotions, and you lose it because you're so fearful that you're not going to have enough. If you can just look at that fear and honor it and tell your subconscious mind, thank you for telling me you're afraid. I get it. I understand the fear. Thank you. We're going to handle this. That voice could just go, oh, thank you for listening to me. I just wanted you to hear me. I just wanted you to be aware that there's something to be scared about, that there could be a possibly caution. Take your next step carefully. In anything in your life, when you hear that little negative voice, look at it and go, thank you. I honor you for telling me that you're afraid. Thank you. Now let's find solutions to get beyond that fear, to make this work for me. There's a lot of different ways, of course, that you can honor your money fears. You can meditate on it. You can focus on the past and heal those things. But you can also look at those fears and go, I don't need to resist you anymore. I see what you are. You're not going to overwhelm me because I'm aware now. I can do something now. But if you resist it for all you're worth, if you tug in the opposite direction, going, no, no, stay away, and you're pushing against it, it's going to still stay right there. Once you go, it almost feels like it rushes to you and through you. The fear doesn't usually stay stuck in your being where you get overwhelmed, except for maybe a moment or two. And then once you breathe, all of a sudden you go, oh, okay, I can deal with this. Because you were so busy fighting against it, fighting to say, no, I don't have this fear, or no, don't you dare happen. I refuse to be out on the streets. No, 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 no. That you're too busy doing that to open your hands and your mind and your heart and say, how can I adjust this? How can this shift? And then you focus on what you're grateful for. You focus on the things that you can do rather than on the negative, on that fear itself. Just being aware of it and not letting it overwhelm you beyond the first few moments, which it may, is huge. But it takes a brave soul and being courageous to be able to do that. I do have a bunch of videos on YouTube that you can look for that has to do with releasing money issues, fears of things, all kinds of guided visualizations and meditations. So if you look back, you can find some of those, and those indeed may help you to shift some of those fears. But first, you have to honor that you have them. You can't say, no, I don't have it. No, because if you see a fear, and if I say, do you have a fear of not having enough? And you go, no. But there's a behind it, or an adamancy about, no, I don't have it. No, you got it. There's something there. There's energy behind it, which means it's you, yay. Then you know what you need to work on. It may not be exactly what you're reacting, but you're going, wow, I had this big reaction to this thing. I wonder where that comes from. I wonder, I actually have some sort of fear related to this, or some sort of worry or anxiety. You can call it whatever you like, but there's some sort of basis there that you can work with. But if you don't honor those fears about not having enough or about not being good enough to have a lot, maybe the fear is that none of your family had money, and so therefore you can't have it either. You never were taught to know how to have the skill. So therefore you won't be able to hold on to the money once it comes, if it ever does. Or maybe your money always comes, but you never know how to hold it. So all these fears and these worries and these things that maybe you've adopted from other people, like with my dad, have to work hard for your money. There's a lot of different pieces of that puzzle. Look into those fears. Look into the worries and realize that it's okay to have them. We all have them. Some people deal with it easier than others. Honor those fears, because honestly, once you honor them and let them go, it's going to be easier. You just say to yourself, I hear you. I hear that fear. And you might want to repeat it out loud and say, okay, I hear that fear. I'm going to find a way to look at the opposite of that fear. I'm afraid I won't have enough. What would having enough look like? So we're going to go into how to respond in the next couple of weeks, but I want you to look at what those fears are. Find them. First, figure out where they come from. If it's obvious to you, maybe it's a past life, but maybe it's a parent, maybe it's a sibling, maybe it's just something somebody said that got stuck in your head and it's still there. Maybe it's Great Aunt Gertie, if there isn't even such a name anymore. But once you know what they are, honor them. And if it was your parents' fear, go, oh, Dad, I get why you were that way. It's not mine. I can honor that fear now. I can say, thank you for being there. It's okay. That was Dad. That was Mom. That's not my fear. I don't need to kind of adopt it. But you need to be aware of it first and honor where it came from and what it's trying to tell you, which is just a caution. It's just a, oh, be careful. But you can turn the, ooh, be careful into the, a lifelong fear that you hold on to, and it will reflect on the entire life that you have and how you handle money. Don't let that happen. If you honor that fear, you will take away some of its power because it's being listened to. It goes, oh, thank you. You heard me. Now you don't have to live your rest of your life in fear. You're aware this could happen. And that's all I'm asking. Just be aware. And as you're aware, then you can do something about it. Not by focusing on the fear the rest of your life, but by shifting your perspective. We're going to get there in the next couple of weeks. So first, where does it come from? That was last week. Now we're looking at honoring those fears, saying, I hear you, and allowing them to become so you even know more where they came from and what they're doing to your life. Because it's easy to see once you really check in and do a little bit of delving sometimes. Thank you for joining me here today. I'm Carol DeChaine. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you like what you hear, and click on the bell notification so you know next time that a video is posted. If you'd like to know more about me, about working with me as a psychic, a life coach, or as a Marconic multidimensional energy teacher or practitioner, by all means, check out my website or my podcast, both entitled Connect to Joy, with the number 2 in the middle, Connect to Joy. Until next week, by all means, honor your fears, allow them to move through you so you can be aware, and you can then proceed, as we will in the next few weeks, to figure out how to let them go and how to loosen them up so that your life can be filled with joy.